What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Christian Kuntz Podcast. I'm here with my boys Trey and Jesse. We got Swing Behind the Boards. We are joined by a very special guest, Pittsburgh legend, Super Bowl champ, West Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, Mike Logan. Mike, how you feeling today?
Feeling all right, man.
Good.
You know what I mean, that was cool till I walked in and seen Trey. I ain't know no Panthers was going to be in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm already come out shooting. Pew, 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 pew. Let's go.
Well, you're happy. You know, you were disappointed in seeing Trey at Pitt Panther. I was happy that you didn't bring your sons.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a little, you know, we were talking about briefly before this, but I didn't tell these guys. Me and Mike did a Supercross. We did a Supercross event together a couple months ago, and his boys were there. And how old are your boys?
8 and 6.
8 and 6. They travel with a little chessboard, a little portable chessboard, right? So we're in the suite. We're watching Supercross, having a couple drinks. His boy's chirping. Yeah, it's chirping me. Chirping me for no reason.
No doubt. I mean, that's Rain. Rain is 8 years old. He taught himself how to play chess. I still can't play. So, wow. I mean, YouTube kids. He came up, and he's 4 years old. He's like, I want to play chess. I'm like, all right, we'll go to Granddad's house, you know, and he comes back like a week later. He's like, I know how to play. So I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, I just kind of shoved him off. He's like, no, I know how to play. So he sets up the board, and I don't know if the board's set up right or not. I'm looking like, all right. So I call my dad, and I'm like, yo, Rain wants to play chess. I showed him the board. He's like, yeah, he set up the pieces, and then he starts naming the pieces, and then he starts telling me where the pieces go. And I'm like, all right.
He knows.
He knows how to play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up calling the Pittsburgh Chess Club, and we're like, I got a son who's interested in playing, and they're like, cool. So I get to his birthday, and they're like, he's 4. You know, we give out materials. He has to read books and all kind of stuff, and I'm like, oh, well. They're like, call back in a couple of years when he learns how to read. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah.
So I'm cool with that. He's nagging me like, Dad, I want to play. I'm like, well, I can't play, you know. I'm like, let me call him back. Can we just come down so he can play against some people and see if he's doing it right? And they're like, well, there's a guy who coaches kids. He doesn't coach them that young, but give him a call. I gave him a call, and he's like, still, that's kind of young for me, you know. And then I was like, I called him back. I said, can you just meet him? So he met us at the library. We went in there. He started playing with him. He's like, I'll coach him.
Yeah.
I'll coach him.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No shit. So he's chirping me. I know how to play chess. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, you're 8 years old. Let's go. Come on. He checkmated me in 6 moves up in the suite. Now, I had a little drinks. Yeah. A couple drinks.
Hey,
I'm going to use that as an excuse.
listen, Rain is on it. Rain was like throwing up gang signs afterwards. Like, I beat you down, bro. I beat you down, bro.
He was like doing the Fortnite dance after he beat me. Like in my face. He's like 6 moves. He's like, you suck.
Hey, now he got that in his arsenal. You know what I mean? I beat a professional athlete at chess in 6 moves. He's talking stuff to his kids at school.
Cool.
You know, he's in school telling them. So if you ever go to Trendy Christian, you're going to get mauled by kids.
Good,
you know,
good.
Just letting them know.
That's why I was happy you didn't bring him, because I haven't been practicing. I texted him when I texted him we were coordinating to come in. I'm like, bring your son. I'm gonna start practicing. But I'm happy he's not here.
He sends shots with me. He lets you know. We'll see you again. Though.
I'm sure he'll listen to the first half of this.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rain. You beat me in 6 moves. There. How about that?
He'll love that, man. He'll love it.
It's crazy.
6 moves is crazy, dude. I was sleepwalking through. I thought he was 8 years old. I thought I was just gonna.
And he went the whole way through.
He did a whole little like castle.
Yeah.
Boom. He goes, "You're done." Before I moved my piece, I moved it, and before I took my hand off, he's like, "Checkmate." I said, "Well, I didn't take my hand off that." He goes, "It don't matter. You're done."
It don't matter.
It's like, damn.
The thing is that shows that he's a critical thinker at a young age, and that's the craziest part, because chess is a really hard concept to win.
The crazy thing about it is now he's able to teach my 6-year-old. So now Rain is teaching Kingston how to play. So Kingston is getting better now, and Rain is a real teacher though.
Love
He's like, you know, he's looking at it and he's like, think about that move before you do it, before you let go of that piece. And I'm looking at him like, but at the time, I'm like, damn, this little dude is really smarter than me. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to make sure that I get some things that I can build in my arsenal, so I know that he, let you know the dad is still running this house. Your name might be, your name might be Rain, but I reign supreme over here. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
Yeah, but he's an awesome. I love them boys, man. We get a little hashtag them Logan boys. If you ever get on social media, that's how I tag them. I ain't ready for them to get into their own space yet, social, just because
that's smart.
It's so dangerous right now. So I kind of lead it, but they're into it, man. And it's exciting just watching them grow.
Talk about that, man, because he's about to be a new dad, man. And like, what is it like, man, being a father of boys? Because I've always wanted boys to be like, oh, they're going to be dogs. You know?
Yeah.
His boys are gonna be dogs, for sure.
Being a father is the greatest thing I've ever accomplished.
Wow.
Ever. There's nothing that compares to it. You know what I mean? And I have older children and I have younger children. So I have 5 kids. I have 4 boys and 1 girl.
Oh wow.
So I have two older sons, a daughter, and my 2 younger sons.
Right.
But when I had my older kids, I was playing ball.
You still playing.
I missed a lot.
Right.
And even though I was present, you miss a world of things that just go on a daily basis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Critical, instrumental things that help their development and growth.
Right.
And even though I'm providing everything,
Right.
we're going to the best schools, you got the best toys, you got the best equipment, you know how to do that. But that developmental stage when you're going through there and your rapport that you're gaining with your children at that time is so critical.
Right.
I never thought about that. I never thought that I missed anything, but raising these 2 young boys and being there on the day-to-day, I understand how critical that is. And I prayed for this, man. I prayed for this because when your kids get older, man, that rapport that you establish with them, it gets to be fragmented a little bit. They don't want to hang out with dad no more. They want to go do their own thing. They're starting to get their lives together. They're career paths and all those things. So you're hitting them up, and it's like a 1-word reply from a text. You know what I'm saying? And you're feeling some type of way. And it's wild because Kingston, he's real vociferous, man. He will talk to you about anything.
Wow.
And sometimes you're like, man, will this dude just be quiet? I just want a little peace and quiet. But I learned to appreciate all of it.
Right.
So I'm attentive to what he's talking about, even if it's the little minute thing. I just love it, man. I like, you could take away every other accolade or every other thing that defines me. And if you just said father, dad, I would be cool with that, man. And if I can be great at that, then that'll be the greatest accomplishment I've ever done.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I like that. That's good advice. Yeah, my wife's due in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Congratulations, bro. Congratulations, man. Yeah,
Lion.
shout out to Heather, man. Dealing with you. You know what I mean? Putting up with you and then giving them a child. No, it's awesome, bro. You're going to love it, man.
That I keep telling everybody. Yeah, she's, I get out of the house because she's on my ass.
Yeah.
She's uncomfortable. Like, what they have to go through is just crazy.
It is.
It's like, the women are superheroes. Like, this shit is crazy.
They're amazing, man.
Yeah.
But, just be attentive to her needs. If you do that, if you're just attentive to her needs, you'll be all right. You're going to be every name in the book until she pushes the baby out. But I'm telling you, man, once the baby gets here and you start reflecting, as long as you're attentive to her needs, whatever they are, even if you can't fulfill all of them, she'll appreciate that, man. So that's a little advice.
That's a plan. Happy wife, happy life.
Oh, happy spouse, happy house. You know what I mean? You got to go both ways because, we say that all the time, and I get it. We're as men, as husbands, we're servants, to our God and to our children and to our wives, but we also have to be happy too. But what makes us happy is seeing them happy. So if you're attentive and you're able to do those things for her,
right,
then it makes the whole house happy. You know what I'm saying? Because your kids are watching. Like, so, and when I say happy wife, happy life, sometimes when my kids see that my wife is happy, but I'm not happy, then that house isn't happy.
Right.
They want us both to be happy. Right. You know what I mean? They're just like, mommy's down, dad should be consoling and be there for her.
Yeah.
Daddy's down, mommy's going to be making sure that daddy's taken care of.
Right.
So, I like to say happy spouse, happy house, because the kids are involved in that and they get to see it all, man.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. I want to get into you're a Pittsburgh guy through and through. I want to get into your McKeesport days.
Right. Okay.
I was reading something. You played for a famous McKeesport coach. Yeah. Take me back to, your time as a freshman through senior year at McKeesport and then into your recruitment to West Virginia. Did you get recruited by Pitt? Was there some little bit of like some hatred towards there that in the recruitment process, or how'd that all go down starting in McKeesport freshman year?
Let's go. Every time you bring up that Pitt thing, it just brings a little vibration to me. So my mountaineer blood, but
I'm over here.
I actually didn't get to McKeesport until my sophomore year. I was born in Pittsburgh, on the south side of Pittsburgh, St. Clair Village, a place that's not even there anymore. But I was raised in Whitaker Projects in West Mifflin. I went to West Mifflin High until ninth grade. I think that was 1988 or 89. I didn't get to McKeesport until my sophomore year. And I think that was 1990. And when I got there, I knew who Coach Smith was. Mm-hmm. Of course, these guys were like a rival to me in Little League football, so I knew all of the guys there. It was rough for me, bro. People don't really know. It was rough.
In what sense? Like,
of sense that you're invading my territory.
You were in the wrong hood.
I came over there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I came over there, and the coach says, listen, I know who you are. Your reputation precedes you, but I got guys here who've been in my program for a long time, and they're going to play.
Right.
And I'm looking like, let me go out and I'll show you. You know what I mean? I'll get on the field and I'll show you. I'll practice. I'm willing to earn it.
Right.
But it was like, you got to pay homage to this program. And that kind of shook me up a little bit. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at Coach Smith and he's looking at me and I'm like, all right, when I get out on the field,
you'll have to play.
We'll see what happens.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Have to let me play.
So I get out there and I'm balling. I think I'm balling. And he pulls me in the office and he says, listen, I still got two seniors who've been running back in this program because I was a tailback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know that.
And he's like, you're not going to play. And he was like, so you can start off in JV. And I looked at this man, Coach Smith, all his accolades. I was like, I ain't playing JV. And he was looking like, what? And it wasn't an arrogance thing. I just thought if I earned the right to make the varsity, I want to play varsity. So it was a rough year. It was a rough year. I mean, so much to the fact that I would go to practice, though. I'm going to practice because I wanted him to see my grit. Yeah. And I wanted to, show myself, show and prove. I didn't go to the games, though. I didn't. I would just practice. I didn't go to the games. I would, I remember my dad calling the house phone, and I was at home. He was in Connellsville ready to see me play in the JV game. And I said, I didn't go. And he's like, what do you mean you didn't go? And he was pissed. He came home. He's like, and I was like, let me explain it to you. And I kind of broke it down to him. And while he didn't agree with it, I still didn't play my sophomore year. I didn't even play football. I practiced, but I didn't play in the games.
Wow. How did they take that? Like, I feel like if someone did that nowadays,
yeah,
they'd be like, nah.
Yeah, it didn't go over well. It didn't go over well with the coaches, and it didn't go over well with some of the players. And I ain't gonna lie, coming from another hood to another hood, it was rough. Like you were fighting for my life, and But then one of my best friends, his name is Dennis Robinson. We call him Mano. He finally stood up for me and was like, yo, listen, this dude can play ball, and he's going to help us. You know what I'm saying? So it got to be easier on him. Because,
right.
I'm coming up, and they're like, whose position you think you're going to take today? And I'm like, man, so people don't even know. I struggled with this really by myself for like a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't really have close friends over there yet, you know what I mean? I was like dealing with this as a 14, 15-year-old, just shouldering the burdens, and the only outlet I had was football, but I wasn't really able to play football. So it was tough, man. Right. It was tough. And then my junior year, Coach Smith, I don't know if it was because of what I did my sophomore year. I didn't get to play tailback my junior year either.
Damn.
And
You were starting on defense.
I started on defense, and I played free safety. Never really played free safety. He was just like, get out there But every time I had an opportunity to intercept the ball, I was taking that thing to the house because I was a tailback. I wanted to be a tailback.
Right.
And I think I don't even know how many interceptions. I might have had like 9 interceptions. I think I returned like 5 of them for touchdowns. Damn. And I was like, I'm a running back. I'm a tailback. But I think that was my punishment for just being, and it wasn't arrogance. It was just that I was determined to prove myself, and I thought I did that. And I didn't get to play, running back.
Well, when you had 9 interceptions, you returned 5.
Yeah.
Was your mind, as a junior, you're probably starting to get recruited a little bit. Was your mind going and like, damn, maybe defense is my way. Obviously, defense was your way,
right?
But like,
no.
You didn't think that. You still thought you wanted to be a tailback.
I came up watching Tony Dorsett, Walter Payton, all of these guys, and my dad was a running back. I was like, I'm going to follow in his footsteps. He went to college. He didn't make it professionally, but I was like, I'm a tailback by nature. This is all that I've done from Little League, because Little League football, you get the ball every time. I mean, and people were always telling me from that point, like, that dude's a running back. We could see it in him. And I'll never forget one of the greatest athletes to ever come out of West Virginia, Major Harris, is like, if they would have ever seen you play tailback, like, it might not have, we might have never known Mike Logan, the defensive back.
Right.
So my senior year, I finally get to play tailback. My junior year, I got recruited. It was a little bit, but my senior year, I finally get to play tailback. And my best friend, one of my high school best friends, Dennis Robinson, he was also a tailback. Mm-hmm. So we had to split the backfield. Mm. I'm thinking, like, I didn't work. Now it's going to be my time to shine. We had to split the backfield, and we basically got equal carries. And I was like, man, I still don't have that. This isn't me, know. And we ended up setting records, though. We were the first, I think, tailback duo in the WPIAL to have 1,000 yards each in 9 games.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, all we did was rush the ball. I think
y'all ran.
Yeah, we did. Y'all know McKeesport. That's what it is. I think we threw the ball 11 times my senior year.
Were you still running the wishbone at that point in time?
Still running the wishbone,
They ran that to like 2018, 2019. Like,
I feel like we scrimmaged McKeesport. They were on the wishbone.
Yeah.
When I was, yeah,
bro. So, I was finally happy. I was elated that I was playing tailback now, so people can see that and shine through. And then, of course, I started to get recruited a little bit. Still wasn't heavy, though. I wasn't like the top, I went to the Fab 22, Big 33, but it wasn't like heavy. I was getting letters and those things, but it didn't seem like, where now these guys are on, I'm on. I got 30 offers and all this stuff. And so I was kind of like, we'll see what happens, But ultimately, I thought I was going to Pitt. I thought I was going to Pitt. Pittsburgh kid, I'm watching Dan Marino, Tony Dorsett, like I said, Hugh Green. I'm like, I'm going to Pitt.
Right.
So Coach Smith calls and he says, Pitt is coming in today. I'm in physics class, 7th period. I'm thinking I'm going down there. I walk down there. I just tell the coach, I tell the teacher, I'm going to recruiting visit. Pitt's here today. And I get down to the coach's office, and he's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, isn't Pitt coming in today? He was like, yeah. They're not here to see you, though. Ooh. They're here to see Jason Chavis. Chave, right?
Yeah.
Chave was my dog. They were coming to offer Chave a scholarship.
Wow.
And you talk about first, like, real lesson in humility and being humble. And, like, I was devastated.
Damn.
So when Sal Sinceri left that office, he was the recruiting coordinator at that time, or whoever recruited McKeesport. I went down to Coach Smith's office. I looked him in his eyes, and I said, who's Pitt's biggest, like, rival right now? He said, well, it's down 79, there's a team called the Mountaineers, Major. I was like, yeah. I said, I'm going to West Virginia, and I'm gonna kick Pitt's ass for 4 years. And that was the thing that I said to him. And after that, I was like, I'm going to West Virginia. I'm gonna beat Pitt's ass. I think Coach Hackett was the coach at the time.
I think so.
And I was like, he's every time I make a play, I'm gonna look at him on that sideline. You know what I mean? And
love that.
I mean, I went undefeated against Pitt during my tenure at West Virginia. So, I know, just shots fired or take it how you want. But that was just my determination to show them, because I was writing my story back then, with the opportunity. Pittsburgh kid goes to Pitt. Of course, I think I'm going to be drafted by the Steelers, all that type of thing. I'm like writing that story. And then the Panthers threw a monkey wrench in my journey. But I'm glad the monkey wrench came.
Yeah, I mean, and it obviously worked out for you. I feel like we had a lot of West Virginia guys on. Yeah, we've had a lot of rivalry with Pitt.
I get my ass kicked.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I don't mean to be throwing strays at Pitt. We just get these West Virginia guys on, and it's the rivalry though.
Because he went to Duquesne, you went to West Virginia. Everybody want to blame you.
Yeah,
I did. So
right. But it's a passion thing. You come up in Pittsburgh. Obviously, you look at Pitt. This is basically what I knew. And then during that time, the '70s when I was born, Pitt was doing it up.
Yeah, right.
So didn't have the opportunity to go, but it made for good jargon with me and Chave when we got together. You know what I mean? Right. I got to talk a lot of stuff on them, and that was my path, though. Right. You know what I mean? Like people say, you try to write your own story and have your own plans, and God's like, no, I got better plans for you.
For sure.
Had I went to Pitt, might not have happened. You know what I mean?
Might be different. Yeah. I think about that all the time. Like if I didn't go to Duquesne and play linebacker snaps, like if I would have walked on somewhere, I would not.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be here.
The journey you had to take, I like
crazy.
It's awesome though.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's awesome. As hard as it was on you, man, you had to go through that.
100%.
Because there's some kid right now who's going to struggle with that, and you're going to be the example.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the goal of it. But take me to you get into West Virginia as a freshman.
Right.
You started right away.
Yeah.
Started right away, but you were playing tailback senior year, so. Talk about the transition from tailback, then going to a collegiate level at the highest level and playing DB.
Got to tell y'all a great story about how I even got to playing defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
So senior year goes by, have a great senior year. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. I think I ended up with almost 1,300 rushing yards, maybe 15, 17 touchdowns, something like that. Great year, You know what I mean? Start to get recruited, get down to West Virginia, and before that, get picked to play in the Big 33. Get to the Big 33, and the coach, I forget who it was, says, we got 6 all-state running backs up here. If you guys all want to play tailback, you're only going to play maybe a quarter. You might get 2 or 3 carries. He's like, that's what's going to happen. And I'm like, look, I got the whole hood with me. I got everybody from McKeesport, everybody from Whitaker and West Mifflin up here. They want to see me play, and I got to give them a show. He says, well, we only got 1 cornerback up here.
Put me a corner.
And he's like, can any of y'all play corner? And I'm like, I never played corner.
Right.
And people think, well, he's a defensive back. There's a difference between playing safety and playing corner.
Big difference.
You got to learn how to put them hips down, back pedal, rotation. It's a different ball game. I'm like, well, he said, if you play corner, you'll probably play 3/4 of the game. So I'm like, hell, I'm an athlete. Let me give it a try. A guy by the name of Ty Law from Talaquippa.
A guy.
Ty Law, a guy. Ty Law. Now, this is before all the NFLs. I didn't even know. He said, I'll teach you how to play corner. Taught me how to play corner in 3 days up at the Big 33 in our host family's yard. He's just showing me different things. Wow, and I'm nuts. Learning how to backpedal and where my eyes should be and all this different stuff. 3 days, I ended up starting cornerback in the Big 33 game. We crushed Maryland. They had Jermaine Lewis, one of the fastest receivers. I think every time I was guarding him, I held him in check,
Right.
So now when I get to West Virginia, the defensive back coach is like, I seen you play corner up at the Big 33. Why don't you play corner? I'm like, nah, I'm a tailback. Why aren't y'all listening? I'm a tailback. Didn't you see my high school highlight film? Go look at Little League tape, man. I'm a tailback. I was born to be a tailback. He's like, okay. We got 6 top tier running backs in the country. Go sit in the running back room. So I went in the running back room. I go sit in the front seat thinking I'm going to be the top pupil and coach is going to see me. I get a tap on my shoulder. Go to the back, freshman. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we sit by the depth chart in here and I'm the starter. Oh, I'm like, okay. So I go back to the next seat. No, go back. Man, by the time I got finished, I think I was in the 7th seat. And I'm looking at the board. I'm like trying to get the coach's attention. Since Mr. Logan thinks he's an all-state running back, why don't you introduce yourselves to him? First seat, Adrian Morrell, Mr. Hawaii. Second seat, Garrett Ford Jr., Mr. West Virginia. Third seat, Rob Walker, Mr. West Virginia. Fourth seat, Jimmy Gary, red shirt freshman, All-American, Okeechobee, Florida. I'm like, oh, my goodness. I'm never going to play.
Time to go play DB.
No. Then me again with I'm going to go to practice. I'm going to show them. You know what I mean? Once they see me out there, bro, you ain't getting no carries at the 7th, I'm still trying to do scout team, still trying to do that. And then eventually I was just like, you know what? Let me go give this defensive back a try. And then Coach Nealon came to me and said, listen, I know you are a tailback by nature. Why don't you go catch kickoffs and punts?
Wow.
And I turned into a kickoff and punt returner, and that gave me my fix for being a tailback. You know what I'm saying? And then my freshman year, I was leading the nation in kickoff return average for the first part of the year, and then I ended up getting hurt. So that was my fix. But it was a hard journey to get to be a defensive back.
Wow. I was going to say.
A cornerback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And people, like, you played safety and not corner, so, like.
Yes.
Difference.
Big difference. Big difference.
But look at this. I go to college. I play, 4 years at cornerback. I'm finally getting it. I'm get the attention of the scouts and everything. I'm getting drafted. I'm getting drafted as a cornerback. You know what I mean? Get to the pros, they're like, you're a safety. Look at your size.
What do you think like differentiates a safety and a corner for people that don't really understand football that much? Like, they hear defensive back and they're just like, okay, you could put a safety like Minka at corner, which you could,
you could
essentially, but it like, talk about the differences. And like, we already talked, like, your hips move differently, your eyes are in different spots, like the run fits are completely different, everything. Just talk about the technical differences.
And it's a mindset too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to understand what you're being asked to do as a cornerback and what you're asked to do as a safety.
Yes.
The roles and responsibilities are completely different. And when I talk to young kids, they're like, well, we cover the wide receivers. Yeah, you do that too, but what about when you're playing a team that doesn't throw the ball and they want you to get big and stand up in a gap when you're basically playing linebacker now? You got to understand that. There's so many, just logical things that you would think as a defensive back that don't make sense when you get into the box and you're like, oh, I'm in a different position here. I'm at 5 yards with the linebackers and I'm looking around. Everybody's, 40 pounds heavier than me. Yeah. What am I to do in that role?
Yeah.
And I didn't even understand that at first when I got into the league because Coach Dick Geron had me as I played in the defensive blitz scheme that they had. So my roles kind of one moment I could be covering a slot receiver. The next moment I could be in the post. The next moment I could be coming off the edge, rushing against a offensive tackle. You have to learn so many things, and I think that was the struggle for me because I had just learned to really be a cover guy and learning how to read receivers, you know what I'm saying, and understand that I can have vision to the quarterback while reading my receiver, whereas I'm a safety, I can see everything in front of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just a world of difference, man, two different worlds.
At what point at West Virginia did you realize, like, damn, I got a shot to make the league as a DB? Return man and a DB, because you were obviously an elite return man, and you're in the West Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. I didn't even introduce you.
Yes.
Congratulations on that.
Appreciate
That's
that,
amazing.
man. Appreciate that.
But
well, you Duquesne Hall of Fame too. Don't be trying to, I appreciate that, man.
You see that? I bring up the helmet with the
I appreciate that, man.
At what point, did you realize, like, I got a legit shot to get to the NFL?
Well, it was rough for me because I ended up breaking my arm 3 times.
Wow. Same arm, right?
Same arm. And
I got that nasty ass scar.
Oh, bro, I got plates and screws and all kind of stuff in this arm.
God damn.
Yeah, so 3 different surgeries, man. 2, 4, 12 pins, 2 plates. So the path wasn't straight, you know what I mean? And although I was having great years, they were always interrupted by injuries. And the injuries took me out. So I didn't, I missed I played my whole freshman year. I got hurt. Got hurt my sophomore year. Missed half the season there. Came back, played, I think, a few games at the end of the season. Beginning this junior year, broke my arm again. Missed 6 games. College season, you missing weeks. Right. So when it got time for me to, enter the draft and all those things, and I was like, man, I don't know if I got enough. You know what I mean? I did what I did when I was on the field, but I missed so many games, and then that became the thing. Well, he's off injured.
Right.
So now when you're going to the combine, it's like, are you going to be healthy? We could draft you, but are you going to be healthy? So I wasn't really high on them boards because they were like, this is going to be a problem. I mean,
still went second round?
Bro, listen, and let me tell y'all how this happened, though. So I don't know where I'm projected to go.
Yeah.
Like some people were saying, maybe 3rd round. Some people were saying maybe 7th round because of the injuries.
Yeah.
And they're like, you missed a lot of time.
Right. So
we had a guy on our team named Canute Curtis. He was an All-American Buckus finalist. He was like being projected to be maybe like top 10, top 15 pick. But he was a tweener, so they didn't really know. We had 28 teams come watch him work out for our pro day.
Wow.
And at the pro day, I showed my ass. Like, I went out there in the best shape of my life. I ran a 4.36. And Detroit told me they had me faster than that. I think I did 15 reps. I broad jumped over 11 foot. Vertical jump was 41 and a half. I caught kickoffs and punts with one hand. After that, and they were there to see him, and Canute ended up pulling his hamstring. So all of them people that came to see him ended up coming out to watch my workouts. Like, so now I'm looking around, and when I say I showed my, I took my pads down, I showed it heavily. And that's what started to get me projected on the board. Like, I'm talking to every team from there. So at the time, my agent's like, dude, we got calls saying that you might have propelled yourself into the first round. And if you look at, that was probably from a 5th round projection to a maybe 1st, 2nd round projection. And I probably would have went in the first round had there not been so many defensive backs that came out that year. Right. You look at that 97 draft, it was Sean Springs, it was Chris Canty, it was Chad Scott. It was a lot of guys who came out. But 2nd round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2nd round.
2nd round to Jacksonville, you get the call. What was your draft day like? Where were you? Family?
Tears. Listen.
Everything, beers.
I'm not making this up for podcasts.
No, you
reasons,
did. Go ahead.
Like for entertainment reasons. No lie. We're still thinking Canute is going to get drafted in at least the first day.
Yeah.
We got the same agent. There was a guy from New York. His name was Steve Hayes. I ended up calling Steve back like, dude, I need some representation. You know what I mean? Like, because there was a lot of other people that were coming in, but I knew Steve through Canute. So he's like, listen, I'm going to come to Morgantown. We're going to get a hotel. Morgantown back in the 90s, they didn't really have like the hotels and all the stuff they got down there. He had the one flip cell phone. We had to put a satellite on the top of the hotel just to really get like cell phone reception.
That's crazy.
So we're having a party really for Canute because we're not knowing where I'm going to get drafted. We're still like maybe 3rd round, and this was when they did 7 rounds. So I think the first day was the first 3 rounds. Okay. The next day was 4 through 7. So we're projecting that Canute is still going to be a first-round draft pick. So I'm kind of just there.
At his party.
Wow. And if I get the call, we'll start going there. So the draft starts. I forgot about this. I'm actually helping my neighbor move.
Wow.
This dude just told me this. I seen him at the hospital. He's like, man, you ain't going to believe this, but you helped me move on draft day.
Get out of here.
Swear, if Dave, I think his name is Dave, call in. It was crazy. He's like, you were helping me move, and I'm like, weren't you supposed to be at the draft? And I'm like, well, I'll probably get drafted, next day or something. So I'm helping him move. I get back to the hotel, and Steve's like, yo, I'm getting calls for you first round. And he was like, so you might want to go clean up and get back here, just in case you get your name called. End of the first round, I think Carolina was on the board, and this crazy story who they drafted. They drafted Ray Roof because he fell. But if he didn't fall that year, I think Carolina was going to take me in the first round.
Wow. And
Steve was like, dude, you're going to probably get drafted before Canute gets drafted.
Wow.
So can you imagine being there? And Canute was my roommate. This is my roommate.
Yeah.
So I'm there, and I'm like, this is going to be awkward if I go before him. Right. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, the Jaguars call. Well, actually, I was on the phone with Detroit. Detroit told me they were picking me with the 54th selection, but they called me and said, Jacksonville's going to take you with 50. And I'm like, oh, snap. So I'm talking to Steve. I'm like, what should we do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do we want to do this? And he's like, man, we'll see what happens, but Canute knows what's going on. And I ended up getting drafted second day, 50th pick overall, and Canute didn't get drafted on the first day.
Wow.
So now my family's down here, and we're like, we're going to have a party. And I went to Canute, and I'm like, yo, I don't, how do you feel about this? You come to the party, you want to celebrate. I don't want to, make you. He's like, well, shit, man, you got drafted before me, so you're going to have the money. Let's go spend your money first. You know what I mean? He was so cool about it, you know what I mean? And he understood what the draft, what the NFL was all about. He didn't end up get drafted till the 6th round.
Wow.
To Cincinnati. So that was a little rough, but, it was just wild how that whole thing played out, man. Right. Just the whole draft day. So I was, of course I was elated, but I just didn't know what to expect because now I'm a 2nd round pick, so the expectations are high.
Right. Yeah. Do you even see like the story that's within there, like the beauty of that? Because you had talked about your journey coming up, always overlooked. You wanted to be a tailback so bad. Yeah. Kind of like, now we'll figure out later. You go through that in high school, college, and now you're in a position where it's almost like you're accepting, like, hey, you know what? My boy's he's gonna get drafted before me, and it ends up actually being used. So right. I think that there's like a message in there about being persistent, showing up for yourself, or like you said, it's not an arrogance thing, but right. it is an unrelentless like belief in yourself, and the tables turned, whether right. you knew that or not, or I don't know if you've had time to reflect on that, but like, I think that's a great message in there that, again, you don't have to do that with like any sort of arrogance or cockiness, but you show up, you believe in yourself, even though you're getting pushed to the back of the room. Well, hey, on one of the biggest nights of your life, if not the biggest, besides maybe your children or, right. Marriage or whatever, but you're the guy that gets drafted. Yeah, so I think that's beautiful.
It's definitely a great message. And this is for that kid who's out there who doesn't have the 30 offers, right? And I see this on social media so much, and when I mentor my youth groups, I'm like, I get it. This is a different era, because if we would have had cell phones back in my day with the smartphones, I might not be here. I'm gonna just be honest. So it's a lot right now, but it's for that kid who doesn't have all those offers. Just keep going, and and then you're, like I said, you may write your path one way, but there's a whole different, labyrinth that you're going to have to go through that isn't a straight line that'll get you to your path. And I mean, I would have never thunk, even in 1,000 years, that I would have went to the NFL as a defensive back, played for over a decade, and won a Super Bowl as a defensive back. Yeah, I never thought that. Now, when I was 6 years old, I stood on a Coben and told all of my friends that I was going to play professional football and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers and win a Super Bowl, because that's what every kid from Pittsburgh desires to do. Right. But I never knew it was going to come to fruition like this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Wow. But that's the beauty in it, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so your first 3 years in Jacksonville, How was that? I mean, obviously, the highlight of the career as a Pittsburgh kid is coming back to Pittsburgh. But those first 3 years in Jacksonville, they weren't all glit and glamour for you. You didn't play that much. I was reading.
Yeah.
You got injured a couple times. What was that like? Talk about the adversity you had to deal with in the first 3 years. Were you worried about, like, shit, I'm a second-round pick, but I'm really not playing like a second-round pick? Am I going to get released? Like, talk through all that, like what went down in Jacksonville those 3 years.
What went down is Tom Coughlin told me, I think I wasted a damn second-round pick on you.
Said that.
Wow. Oh, he said that to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I got, oh, man, it's
brutal.
It was brutal. Coughlin was, hey, listen.
I was with Tom Coughlin.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah,
Jacksonville for a short era. I mean, when you're
crazy, dude. That
That's
hurts.
not the guy you want to hear from.
Bro, like, listen, I'll say this.
He was tough.
Yeah.
He was the toughest coach I ever had, but he was one of, I got the most from him later in life. Like, after I got finished and I started coaching and all this stuff, and I was like, I understood why he had that dictatorship type of leadership. But, you know, it was still on the, you know, I think as a professional, we were like, this is like for college, you know what I mean? We're all professionals now. So there was a little bit, but I learned to appreciate him so much more afterwards. And I gave him his respect even in my Hall of Fame speech, because in my Wisconsin speech, I was like, I see why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You did everything the way you did, but it was rough, man. I got down there. I was playing corner. They said they're going to move me to safety, but I was also playing safety, but covering in the slot. Ooh. So can you imagine being a safety? Now, I'm thinking I had to bulk up, too, because they're telling me I'm going to play strong safety. So I gained like 8 to 10 pounds thinking that I need to be professional. These dudes are bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in thinking I'm playing strong safety, but they were like, you got cover skills. We still want you to cover the slot. So in all the nickel and dime packages, I'm covering the slot. And, you know, back when I was in the league, them slots was, woo, I mean, it was brutal. So I'm struggling because now I'm heavier. I done lost a little step probably from putting on weight, and it was muscle weight, but it was still heavier. I was struggling. I was struggling bad, and he was like, you know, this ain't looking good for you, son. It ain't looking good for you. And I was like, man, you know, this was in training camp. I'm just trying to get through training camp, my first training camp. And I started to get adjusted, and I was playing well towards the end of the season. Ended up like salvaging a little bit of it. First game, my second year, I'm returning the kickoff, and I break my ankle. And that's when Coughlin just said, he was like, dude, like it was like a disappointed dad looking at his kid, and I'm on a training table, and this dude's like, he's looking at me, and he's just shaking his head. It's like,
oh, that's terrifying.
And I'm like, damn. And that was my welcome to the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, he was like, dude, I'll cut your ass. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? He was like, what are you going to do? And I missed that whole season, man. I missed the whole season, wasn't able to come back. Ended up coming back my third year and ended up winning the starting job in training camp. Like, I busted my tail, though. Like, I learned everything. And in that offseason, I'll give kudos to Chris Hudson. And I think this is a part of my reflection now when I look back of what happened with me and Troy. That's later. But he really gave me some gems to just tuck in my arsenal and be able to persevere through all of the stuff that happened to me my first couple years in the league. Wow. So, you know, I had a great year. My third year is probably it was my best year as a professional. But the end of the year, I ended up getting hurt again. I popped my hamstring, man. And, you know, it was like, I'm sitting down with them. I'm up for a contract renewal, and they're like, we're going to low tender you. You know, it was like, it was bad, man. And I started to think, like, is this my path? You know what I mean? Like, you accomplished your goal. Maybe you need to just go on and do something else. I was able to rehab and come back. I don't think I started the beginning of the season, but I ended up coming in and winning the starting job back. So I played that fourth year as a low tender free agent, and then play that year out, and then I started to get a little buzz. But at the end of that year, I ended up pulling my hamstring again.
So talk about that, man, because that's something I don't think people understand. Like, when you get hurt, bro, people act like you did it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be hurt. You think I really want to be hurt? Yeah, and especially at that level, bro, like, you know money's on the line. So what was your mental health like at that time?
Bro, if mental health, I was gone. I wish I had the knowledge and the awareness about mental health then, because I was depressed, but I didn't know I was depressed.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I knew what I thought being depressed was, but I didn't know about depression and being in a state of depression.
How while you're in it.
You know what I mean? And I'm trying to focus on my career. My family has started now. I'm trying to, I had so many things going on around me. I was really lost at that time. I was afraid to tell anybody I was lost. I didn't really know who to go to or if I had anybody to go to for direction. I didn't know about the NFLPA resources and all of those things. I don't think we had them back then. I struggled mightily. And that offseason, it was a bad offseason.
Yeah.
A lot of bad things happened in that offseason off the field. And I think it affected, and my dad got sick, my mom got sick. It was hell, man. So, the only saving grace that happened in that off season was, I would come home in the off season. I kept my house in Pittsburgh, even though I was in Jacksonville. I had planned on signing back with Jacksonville.
Right.
Jacksonville was home. Like Tom Coughlin, actually, he came around afterwards and he said, "Listen, I don't know why you keep getting injured every time you get to the pinnacle, but just keep going." And I was like, okay, I think we're getting a great rapport between us. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, this was the dad after the disappointment. He's coming back and wrapping his loving arms around you. He was like, just keep going. We see it. But he was like, I don't know what it is, but you just got to keep going at it, keep getting at it. And I felt bad because I used to come home and watch Swing Cash play basketball.
Yeah.
She went to my high school, but they used to play against Cowher's daughters. You know what I mean? Or they would be in the same tournaments and all that stuff. And I remember, I don't know if this was tampering back then, but I used to see Bill at the things and see his wife and be like, yeah, I'm a free agent. I would love to come home. You know what I mean?
That's tampering.
Whatever, But, I used to just throw them little bugs out there, but I didn't think that it would ever come to fruition. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not going to go to Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? I went on a visit to, I think, Green Bay. I went to San Diego, and I was like, I'm just going to go back to Jacksonville. I was like, they know me. Hopefully they give me a little more money, but I was still injured, so I'm rehabbing, and I'm down there rehabbing. And lo and behold, my agent calls. He's like, yo, Pittsburgh's looking for a safety, and I'm like, okay. So right then I'm like, I'm ready to sign. He's like, he's like, let me do my work. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't care what they offer, and I'm signing. I'm going back home. You got to think about it. I had played 4 years already. I'm thinking I might just get one more contract. I don't know if I ever, the average career isn't 2 years. Yeah, I played longer than that. And my dad had just got sick, you know what I mean? My mom and dad were sick. So I was like, I want to be home.
Right.
I want to be close to family. And just think about that story, being able to play for Black and Gold. So I kind of rushed that deal. Like, my agent was like, let me work. And I ended up signing and coming home, man.
But that was the best thing that ever happened.
It was not for the football sense.
Right.
Not because I joined the franchise that was historic and it was the team I grew up idolizing. It was the best decision I ever made because I got to spend time with my mother.
Wow.
I got to spend time with my family. My mother got to see her baby accomplish her dream before she perished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom was sick. She ended up passing away the year I retired. You know what I mean? So
she saw it all.
She it's like she waited, you know what I mean? Like, she held on to be like, let me see my baby accomplish his dream. And had I not been home, she wouldn't have been able to come to the game. We wouldn't have been able to celebrate afterwards. We wouldn't have been able to have little walks on my off day. You know what I mean? Trips to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? With my mom, because y'all got to understand, me and my Rays, we call Rays in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
My mom, me and my Rays, she took me to Nats, to like arts when I was like 17, you know what I mean? And had my first drink with her, and we sat down and played cards against each other. She taught me how to play spades. I wouldn't have been able to, you know, like fully digest all of that if I hadn't been able to come home and spend time with her before she passed. You know what I mean? And then, like, I got so many memories, man. Like, this might be a 2-hour show, man. I don't know, but like after the Super Bowl, man, you know, and I ended up getting injured in the Super Bowl, bro. It's crazy, man.
Crazy, yeah, but it is
crazy.
It's wild how you know it happened that way. You know, your parents got sick and you were at home. Like it all happens for a reason.
Right.
Like when you look back on it, like I think about my story and you know getting hurt in high school and walking on at Duquesne. Like as I talked about, like everything, and then you look back on, you're like, oh, well that's why that happened. So it's cool to see that story come to life, and like your parents getting sick, and then Steelers saying they have a little interest, and you're like, I'm going. I don't care if they're giving me $10 million less. I'm going.
Oh, and that's literally how it was. Like literally, like Omar called my agent. I was home. I actually went over to. This is when they first got the Southside facilities. I went over there. I'm sitting there, and I'm like ready to sign, and my agent's on the phone like, calm down.
Right.
I called my dad. My dad's still working as a photographer, editor for KDKA at the time. I said, dude, this is breaking news. Come over here, like ASAP. You know what I mean? He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm about to sign with Pittsburgh. He's like, okay. You know, I don't even know if he was on break or whatever, but my dad comes over. We're sitting in the Southside offices. Omar's talking to my agent on the phone, and my dad looks out and says, do you know that your grandfather used to work on these same grounds over here? The J&L Steel Mill was right on the site of where the Pittsburgh Steelers facilities are.
That's crazy.
So my dad is looking out the window like almost in tears, and I'm like, what's he reflecting on? He's like, you know, your grandfather was one of the first African-American safety managers at the J&L Steel Mills. Wow. And he got his hands dirty out here every day, and now you're about to follow in that path. And he never got to see that story. He passed away before that. But this is like, crazy. I'm like, this is like a movie for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is a lifetime special going on right here. Right. So I got to, like, even that moment to share with my dad and him reflecting on his father is something so great, man.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my kids now. We can't, some of these moments that happen to us in life, they're so special and they're so cherished, man. And we got to really appreciate them. And I love telling the story because it makes me feel good, man.
100%. Yeah, it's an unbelievable story. I mean, talk about your playing time with Pittsburgh. You play with Troy Polamalu. I know that's your guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just talk about what it's like playing with a Hall of Famer, the best safety of all time. Those teams that you were a part of, like historic, the best defenses of all time, like those teams were. That's who we grew up like. Those teams were incredible. Just talk about your experience getting in there as a kid from Pittsburgh, because I know how that is. Like you're almost like a fan of some of the guys in there, but then they're your peers, or your friends, or your teammates. So talk about how cool that was in your experience as a player.
I mean, first of all, I get to Pittsburgh. I wore number 32 in Jacksonville. So I get to Pittsburgh. They're like, well, there was this guy who made one of the most famous catches in NFL history. We really don't give that number out. And I'm like, listen, I don't even want that number. I ain't trying to put my feet in those shoes. But then they're like, well, why don't you get 31? And I'm like, well, I don't really want to put my shoes in those cleats either, because I know the torpedo. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was somebody that I loved, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, do y'all give out that number? And they're like, well, we haven't, but I think he would be honored if you took it as a Pittsburgh kid who plays safety.
That's right.
And they're like, you want to call him? And I'm like, hell no. You call him and ask him, would he mind? And he didn't even mind. It was like, yes, I would love for him to wear 31.
Wow, that's cool.
But that was a lot of pressure, you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, I'm wearing Donnie Shell's number. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it still hasn't even registered to me yet that I'm really getting ready to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that was one of the coolest things. But to be a part of that era of football when, it was no offense to you guys, but it was hard-nosed, smash-mouth football. All of this 5 wides, RPO that y'all do. We ain't do none of that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we like to be a part of that, to play with some of the guys that were on those teams, the Jason Giltons, the Joey Porters, the Troy Polamalu's. I mean, that was a real sanctuary for players to go and really like invest in relationship.
Wow.
Not just being a teammate, but being in relationship. Like we all cared about one another, and we had to ask because it wasn't on social media. So we had to ask, how's your family doing? How's Heather doing? Is she all right? How's the baby? Like you want us to come over? You need anything? We had those type of bonds on that team. You know what I mean? And I think that was more special than even getting on the field and playing with each other, because we just had the rapport that was like, man, we got to take care of one another. You know what I mean? If we knew somebody was out hanging in the side of town, we like, bro, we got to go over there and just make sure they cool. You know what I mean? We had a good rapport with everyone, and everybody had everybody's phone number, and we checking in, and, it wasn't like, dang, we can't get in touch with this dude. You know what I mean? It was just you felt like you were playing with your family and your closest friends. And it was a little different for me because I still hung with my old crew from Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? You still hang with your friends. Mm-hmm. So they got to meet some of my teammates and kind of get in with that. And then, grandma's like, well, tell Plexico to come up here and have dinner if he wants to have dinner. Like, so it was a little different for me because I still got to hang with the guys, some of the guys that I, grew up with, and then I got to share with some of my teammates. But on the field, man, some of the stuff that we were able to accomplish and some of the things that we were able to do was, it was just amazing. And then having Coach Cower Coach, he let us be who we were.
But he was hard as hell on you.
But he said, listen, when they talk about players, coach, and all that stuff, of course he was a player and he was a coach, but he was like, listen, guys, like, I don't even want to come into y'all locker room. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Y'all, that's y'all place. That's y'all sacred place as players. If I have to come in there, that means y'all are doing something wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm putting it on you guys to be able to man that. We should never have a problem because y'all don't even want me to come down here. He's like, keep it in perspective. And, we had Peasy, who was our mouthpiece, who would be like, well, Coach, we want to do it this way. And Coach is like, all right, you do it that way, but if it gets messed up, then I'm stepping in. Mm-hmm. But he always allowed us to have a voice in whatever we were doing. I mean, on the field, off the field, how we traveled, we always had a voice. But he was like, keep it in perspective, keep it within reason, you know what I mean? And as long as we did that, our rapport with him was so great. And there was only a few times where he had to come in and interrupt what we had, and we were getting it done on the field. He's like, as long as you're getting it done, then I'm cool with that. We'll roll with it, and we'll learn to adapt and adjust. And, and I think that gave us so much freedom that we were able to all be comfortable in that, and the results spoke for themselves.
What was it like playing for Dick LeBeau?
That, man.
Like, those defenses, I mean, those defenses were wild.
We didn't want to fail for him.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wanted to go out and let him down. Like, seriously, because the way he drew up stuff, the way he planned out the execution of it, we were like, if we do it just the way he designed it, everything should be perfect.
Right.
It will be immaculate if we do it the way he designed it. So we all made a cognitive effort to always, we know we're not going to be perfect, but we're going to go out and try to execute it the way he designed it, because we know it's going to work if we do it the way he designed it. Now we ran into some problems sometimes where guys would, go off and because they had certain abilities would do something different, and then it might have got done. We might have accomplished the same goal, but it wasn't done that way, and we would address it that way. But it wasn't no big deal.
Yeah.
It was like we can learn. We can tell this person, okay, you went out, you were supposed to hit this gap, and I know you got there, but let's make sure that we stay in that gap because that's affecting the way the other person next to you is supposed to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? We just had that great rapport, so we didn't want to let Coach LeBeau down.
I feel like, you know, we've had a number. I feel like a number of guests from this era. No, not claiming you're old, but I'm saying the
Hey,
era.
bro, listen, man. I mean, I'm a little old, man. I guess.
No, I'm saying like the Super Bowl era and the teams that like we remember as like, you know, those fucking teams of Steelers that were like those dudes. Yeah. So, and it's cool. Like when I asked you about your time as a player, you don't really bring up specific game or specific like plays. You bring up like every guy has brought up the camaraderie and how tight that those teams were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, like it just shows why Super Bowls had the success that's happened. Like it's crazy. Like there's no specific plays. There's no specific like games that nobody remembers. It's always like what was done in the locker room, off the field, that kind of stuff.
So you think that's a huge gap in current sports right now?
Yeah.
Big time.
And you could kind of see it. We just had TJ McConnell on, and obviously, basketball, the OKC and the Pacers, they were like a gritty, but they had a really nice bond, and they made it to the biggest platform. So do you think that the teams could be even exponentially better if they had that type of bond that you guys had in the football locker room?
I do, because, I'll say this. We talked about a little bit of the mental health stuff and everything, but back then we knew what was going on with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we kind of had a beat on like, bro ain't himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like something about Christian ain't he ain't walking this morning and have breakfast with us. You know what I mean? In the meeting room, he was kind of solemn and tired. Like
what's wrong with
bro? And we were able to come to him and him not be offended or be ashamed to say, man, Heather's dealing with some night sickness. You know what I'm saying? Bro, is there anything I could do? You know what I mean? I'm going to offer it up. You know what I mean? Listen, hey, man, I'll have my wife call her. She's pregnant. She can tell her maybe some things. We had that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we went to the Super Bowl in Detroit. Jerome Bettis is from Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a team dinner. We go downstairs. They're like, we got buses outside. We're like, where we going? We going out to eat? We going like, what's
Jerome's house?
We drive charter buses through Detroit, through neighborhoods, and park on a street in Detroit. And we're like, look, we're going to Jerome Bettis' house to eat dinner that his family prepared for us. Mm-hmm. Mom, dad, aunts, uncles, what?
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
we're going to like the whole team is going to Jerome Bettis' house to eat, and like his aunts and uncles, and they're serving us. I mean, I went to go get a plate. They're like, "Nah, we're serving y'all. We're sitting down and having fellowship with this man's family on the biggest, grandest stage in NFL sports." I mean,
it's cool.
That's like you. I know I got hurt in the game. I remember playing in it, but I remember sitting at the table talking with the fellas like, man, how special is this, bro?
Yeah,
right.
That stuff.
You know what I mean?
Price on that.
You can't put a price on that. Yeah, and that just builds a good team.
Yeah,
shows a good team, builds a good team, like all that.
Even to have that happen, even if for it to even be a thought, is it shows you what type of team that we had, what type of camaraderie that we had, and how close we were to one another. Right. Because, you like, this is still my house, man. This is my family's house, you know what I mean? But brought the whole team, man.
Yeah, that bond, I think, outperforms talent sometimes.
Every time.
Especially when it gets down to, like, the nitty and gritty, it's like sometimes that a mission we're fighting for will beat out that.
You're fighting for the guy next to you.
Right,
You're fighting for yourself.
It helps you overcome them adversities that you don't even know are there. You know what I mean? Just because you got the close bond with everybody.
And I feel like it bleeds onto the field, too, with that whole team. Everybody talked about how instinctive that team was. When somebody gets that itch to go make a play, like, you have to respond, and without even communicating, if you know your brother like that, you can do that.
Bro, that was one thing that I developed with Troy that it was just amazing.
Yeah.
But that dude had me scared a couple times. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, we're playing 2 deep coverage and dudes at the line of scrimmage and Tom Brady's in his cadence. So I'm like, he got it covered deep half.
Right.
Now I'm going to the other half of the field. So he's at the line of scrimmage. Tom Brady's in his cadence. I'm like, there's no way he's going to make it back to the half of the field. So now I'm like, do I cheat over and play a deep third just so I can, have him? And then this dude does a spin, dribbles through his leg, and gets back to his half field, just knowing and having that trust that he's able to do it. But he's just giving a diversion, disguised look, and able. But that dude was like literally super.
Talk about your relationship with Paul Mahle. You gave him your last shirt and Talk about that and the Hall of Fame speech and how much that meant to you.
So when he got to training camp after he held out for 3 days or 5 days, whatever it was, he didn't even want to do it. He's just like he was trying to get to training camp. Yeah. When he gets to training camp, they lose his luggage or something like that, man. And then dude comes knocking on my door. I'm Troy. I don't have my luggage. Can I get a shirt? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right. I'm like, what's up, man? Take whatever you want. You get comfortable, whatever. And I was like, from that point on, I just knew for him to even, because he could have went to the training staff and got a shirt. I had to think about it afterwards. I'm like, why did he come to me?
Right.
You know what I mean? The dude who he knows whose position he's about to take. You know what I mean? He came to me and gave him a shirt. We kind of talked for a minute, and then from that point on, I was like, I used to see him walking up in the trails up in St. Vincent. I'm like, what is this dude doing? I think he was praying at the time. You know what I mean? And then I just started to observe him a little bit, and I'm like, this dude's the real deal.
For sure.
Like I was like, you could see it in him. So the first couple of days, it was just rough for him in training camp. Trying to get adapted, trying to put the contract negotiation stuff behind him, and it wasn't he was struggling in the sense of the game was too fast for him. He was just trying to do too much. Mm-hmm. He was like trying to be perfect in every little thing. He's like, but trying also not to offend anybody or draw attention to himself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the cameras are always rolling on him, and he doesn't care for that. You know what I mean? But he's trying to do too much, and in practice, I would just say, "Bro, calm down." Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got it. Mm-hmm. Like I see it in you. Like, you got it. And there was a couple times where he would let somebody catch a pass on him, and he's like beating himself up. And I'm like, dude, this happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we play against some dogs. You know what I mean? Like, somebody's gonna catch a pass on you. But his mindset was nobody's catching a pass on me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like in practice, in popsicle sticks and marbles, like he's like, and I was like, that's good. You keep that competitive nature in you, but when it happens, it's all about how you respond. Right. You know what I mean? You regroup and you get back out there. And lo and behold, man, I was looking at this dude. I called home. I was like, yo, I probably ain't gonna be starting too much longer, man. I'm just being a realist, you know what I mean? Yeah. At that time, and I ended up winning the starting job though. That rookie year, I still was named opening day starter, but it wasn't long. No. It wasn't like, bro. It wasn't long, man. It was like, but then I seen it. I seen it in him, and he never liked to. And I used to just be like telling everybody, reporters, anybody. I'm like, yeah, that dude should be starting. He's going to be starting. Like, he's coming. He's coming. Yeah. And just the person he was, you wanted to root for him. Right. Even as a competitor, you wanted to root for him because look at the things he was able to do, man. Like some of the plays he was able to make. Like I'm still and was a fan of his. Yeah. Even as a teammate. Mm-hmm. That's great. With no envy, with no jealousy, with no nothing. Like I wanted him to be able to do things on the field because I knew that I couldn't do them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like this dude, how you time up different cadences to be able to jump over.
That's crazy.
Like he was doing, like I was like, hey, tap me out, get this dude in so we can see what's going on. Like
he would give the sign of the cross and then murder somebody on the field.
Hey, bro, listen.
Terrified.
Hey, listen. This dude prayed after every play. Yeah, like I'm like, I'm looking, I'm like, what's the call? What's the call? Troy's praying. I'm like, okay,
forgive
Father,
me for
forgive me,
about to
you know
kill
what I mean?
this person.
Oh man, but just some of the things he was able to do, man, and the bond that we had. It was never really spoken of what our relationship was. We just knew it. You know what I mean? There was a time when my older kids came up to training camp, and Troy went out there and just played with my oldest son. You know what I mean? And just he's just he makes you want to be better as a person.
Yeah.
If he walked in here, I would probably sit up and you know what I mean? Like he makes you want to be better as a person, man. The way he treats people, the way he speaks to people, the way he looks at people with endearment, like when he's greeting you, he brought that to. So imagine that every day in your meeting rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
While he's barefoot on the floor eating dry fruit, you know what I mean? Like he just made you want to be better all around, man.
Here, though.
Yeah.
You got barefoot eating dry fruit.
Oh,
You
man.
have to watch out for him.
Yeah, drinking hydrogen water. You know what I'm saying? Like he made me. I ain't gonna lie. He made me be a better person every time I was around him.
I love to hear that.
It's not like you did that for him too, though.
Yeah.
Like you did that in your own way.
Bro, I still get chills when I think about him speaking my name at the Hall of Fame, man.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's still crazy. I still and it's wild because my dad took my sons up to the Hall of Fame. I think it was last year, and they were playing the speech.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
And like Rain, he's like, you say Mike Logan? And I'm like, yeah. And it's like our name is forever entrenched in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
So it feels like, bro,
What did he say about it?
Rain,
Yeah. No, what did he say about you?
Oh,
like Troy.
man, he just talked about the relationship that we had and how I was so offering of myself to give him knowledge about the game, about the professionalism. And truthfully, he already had it, but it was just that I was able to offer it up to him. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yo, you know what to do in this hook curl drop, but just come at this angle. Or,
Right.
It's something so minute that he already had, but just to acknowledge that I even was offering it up to him is what he was speaking about. And that's basically how those teams were that we had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like everybody's going to offer up themselves for the greater good of the team. So we didn't really need a superstar to define us as a team. And there was a couple little rumbles on it, but we didn't. It would be like, you know how they say, and this is, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles or whatever. It was like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
Monday Night Football featuring the Pittsburgh Steelers. Playing against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots.
Right.
Nobody needed to be the superstar on that team. You know what I mean? And nobody was offended by that.
That's how you know those are the best teams. So.
I mean, and it showed in the locker room. It showed in the media. The media would come up and be wanting to interview Peasy, and Peasy's pulling in Jason Gill and saying, yo, these is my dogs. These is the ones who make it happen. Yeah. So much so that guys like Aaron Smith and Brett Kiesel, who weren't household names, everybody, they're like, nah, if it wasn't for these dudes, I wouldn't be this person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't really see that now. Everything's about a feature. You know what I mean? It's a feature. So
the times have changed. Well, before we wrap up, I want to ask you what it was like the Super Bowl parade here in Pittsburgh as a Pittsburgh kid. Give me a wild little story. Give me something crazy that happened at that Super Bowl parade, that Super Bowl party. Because I know we bring a Super Bowl back to Pittsburgh, the whole city is shut down. The whole city.
Well, for me, it was, first of all, it was crazy before I get to my crazy story. But for me, it was crazy because, and you probably get this too, all of my family thinks that I can just bring the whole family anywhere. Yo, Mike Logan's my nephew.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm getting on the team bus. I'm eating with Jerome Bettis. I know you get 55 tickets. We need to be on the 50-yard line. Yeah. We need to be in a suite. I'm like,
that's Pittsburgh.
Bro, you know what I mean? And they're like,
you ain't telling them no.
Bro, I'm just like, it got to a point where I was like, Dad, you got to do the ticket thing. You know what I mean? I think I bought maybe like 10 to 15 tickets a game, and I just put them on a rotational system because I was like, I spent half of my check on getting tickets and jerseys, and they think you get a jersey. They think like, bro, go in there and get 10 jerseys. I got to pay for that.
Yeah,
right. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, why? Because that's what it, like, they don't just give us shirts, you know what I'm saying? So that was tough because everybody wanted to be in the motorcade with me. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, it's just me. You know what I mean? Like, it might be the family, but like, so that was a little tough. But I remember for that Super Bowl, Debo.
Oh, boy.
James Harrison. And you know, James' road to the NFL was kind of like yours. So them early years were a little rough for him. Right. You know what I mean? He had just got a new truck. And I wonder if he remembers this. Somebody, like, parked too close to him and, like, either hit his truck. And this dude was so pissed off. I don't even know if he celebrated the Super Bowl parade, man. Like, I don't even know if it was scratched. Somebody just like, you know, you open your door and I think somebody, like parked too close to him, man. And that dude was furious. Like, he was like sweating and looking. And I was like, Debo, we just won the Super Bowl, man. Like, it's going to be cool. I hope he remembers that story, but he was pissed. And I was like, man, here's a bottle. Get drunk. I don't want none of that, man. I don't want my truck, man. I was like, this dude is ferocious. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I remember that specifically. But for me, man, I was in the motorcade with Coach Cowher and his wife and daughters. And like I said, I got to know Bill even before I came to Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like I had reflections back to Whitaker Projects. I had reflections back to McKeesport. I had reflections back to St. Clair Village as a child. And just being able to see dreams with astronomical percentages being brought to fruition, like, it makes me emotional, man. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? I was riding through that city and just thinking about it. I thought about my grandfather. I thought about my pop's plight. I thought about my mother. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everything that I thought about, all the injuries. You know what I mean? I thought about Canute. You know what I mean? I thought about all of those things. I really had those emotions running through me as I was riding through the city on the back of that thing, because I was like, this is everything that I ever wanted and wished for in my life. Yeah. But I still had the feeling like there's still something more purposeful for you out there. And that's crazy to think about, right?
That's crazy.
When you're like, after I got off the motorcade and I'm going home and I sat down, I was like, damn, what's next? Yeah. Because this is all I put for the expectations of my life, bro. And I was only 32 at the time, 30, you know what I mean? I think I retired 33. So I'm like, it finally hit me like, you still got a life to live, but you accomplished everything you set forth for what you want to do. And then I was like, that started my journey with really understanding my purpose that God created for me. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's incredible. Yeah.
Last question though. What did you say at the Super Bowl instead of going to Disney? Where you going instead of Disney?
Shout out to Kennywood, man. You know what I mean? Hey, I said, I don't want to go to Disney. I want to go to Kennywood, man. And they actually responded. They had a Mike Logan day out there, man. We had T-shirts. We got to kick it in my old stomping grounds, man. I used to go to Kennywood every day when I lived in West Mifflin, man. Yeah, they used to give the little string bracelets, man. We used to steal some of the bracelets and put them on, but
shout out Kennywood, though.
Yeah, shout out Kennywood, man. And they still show love, man. So I just went to the unveiling of the steel curtain.
Yeah, that's cool.
Me and YA. Yeah, we got to ride. Well, he didn't get to ride it. He was too big to ride, man.
Too big. Yeah, he had him on. He's big.
Yeah, he was too big.
Say one more time.
YA.
How'd you say it?
Bro, I introduced
Yaya? You said Yaya?
Yeah. Everyone calls him that.
Yeah.
I would call him that for 6 weeks. I introduced him as Yaya. He didn't even correct me in here. Yeah. Jesse's like...
Jesse fucked it up too, don't worry.
Listen,
yeah, I got confused.
Yeah, I seen that. But listen, well, when we went to the unveiling, he said his name and then somebody asked him again. So when he said, "Why?" Yeah, I was like, okay, because I would have looked at it and said, "Yeah, too."
Yeah.
But he was a cool dude, man. So he made me ride by myself, man. They kicked him out. They were like, they couldn't put the seat down. They couldn't lock the seat in, man. Good dude, though, man.
Good dude.
Great dude, man.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks,
Hell of a story, boys. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate
This
you.
wraps up season 2, episode 8. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, reshare, repost. Mike Logan, Super Bowl champ.
Take me home.
Country roads. Yeah.
All right, for this Church Thing podcast.